5 huge armed men looking for praise. Hi, I'm a young girl living in Iran, and I've made this Anon account to post the things that could threaten my safety if they were posted on my main account. As you probably already know, Iran's going through a revolution, and people have been protesting again for 2 months straight now. People often chant, "Down with the dictator," from their windows at night here. Tonight, they had just stopped when I decided to go for a smoke. I went to the main street, which is less than 50 meters away from my home. I wasn't wearing hijab, and to be honest, I was paranoid about it all the time, but everything went perfectly normal. And I turned around to go back home, thinking I'm being too scared these days. Halfway through the alley, I noticed a group of 5 huge men. One of them was holding a speaker that was playing one of our protest songs, 2 of them were shooting laser beams into windows at each side of the alley, and the others had guns. They were the Islamic Republic's forces baiting people to come to their windows. I couldn't look at them when they got closer. I just held my breath and walked past them while my heart was about to jump out of my chest. It didn't take more than a minute, and I was only a few meters away from home, yet it felt like forever, and at that instant, I was almost certain I'm not gonna get home. I was terrified and all alone there as these huge armed men, looking for probably the most peaceful protesters ever, were walking towards me while I wasn't wearing hijab. I don't know if they really minded me much or not, but regardless, it was absolutely horrifying for me. Edit. Thank you all for your kind words. My 9-year-old son is having crazy dreams, so my son is 9. He told me this morning that he had a dream last night where he was looking down at his body, and then Uncle Randy took his hand and helped him fly away. His Uncle Randy was my older brother and had passed away when my son was 3. He then described how he saw me crying in the tub. I was crying in the tub last night. I've been very stressed with my pregnancy. After the tub I went to check on him and he was still asleep. My son then told me Uncle Randy told him to tell me that I can't cry with teddy bear eyes, which is something he would tell me as kids. It was all very strange. Do you guys think it was just a dream or something else? My cat still lays on top of me at night. About 9 months ago my cat passed away at only 5 years old, unknown as to how or why. But almost every night when I lay down on my side, it feels like she jumps up on the bed and curls up on my side. I feel the pressure exactly where she used to lay. Not only this, but a few days after she passes, I was laying down getting ready for bed. Looking out at my room, I see a ball of light appear from the underside of my bed and make its way toward me and disappearing. As it disappeared, I felt the same feeling as if she laid down on my side. It is the only thing that gives me closure and I miss my kitty. Fly high my little one. Has anyone had ghost experiences that left you scarred for life? So recently I witnessed what seemed like a ghost watching me and smiling while I slept. It was like 2 to 3 a.m. and I was dead asleep. I woke up completely normal and was facing the other side of where the creature was sitting. I had a very eerie feeling someone was watching me and I could feel the edge of the bed kind of crinkled like someone was sitting on it. I turned around and was terrified. I mean, I almost shit myself. There was a woman, pretty, with super duper pale skin and bright red lipstick on, smiling, with her mouth closed, and she was sitting on the edge of the bed but she was turned towards me with her hands on the bed. IDK, how to explain it? She had a super big smile, it didn't look human. Her eyes however weren't smiling and looked really intense and focused. She had dark black hair styled up kind of like a pin-up girl and was emitting bright light. I turned around and gasped like a mofoka. I thought I was gonna die, and she disappeared. I know it wasn't my brain creating this. It was way too real, and the fact that even before turning around I felt the bed crinkled up and could feel someone was watching me. Do you guys think this was a ghost? And have you had these types of experiences before? The girl from the cassette talked back to me. I had an incident in my childhood which everyone chalked up to me having an overactive imagination, but it's still one of my most vivid and real memories. When I was about 4, my grandfather got me a cassette of regional songs that I really liked. It was a mix of children's songs I could sing along to. And I would sing along to it quite diligently. This one time I was sitting with the cassette in the player, singing along and my grandfather appreciating it. He left the room for a moment and I stopped singing. What happened next still sends chills down my spine. An angry childlike voice came from the player demanding I keep singing, asking why I stopped. I ran out of the room. I still have no logical explanation for this and nobody believes me when I tell them this story. We rewinded and played it over and over again, even though I had listened to the cassette on loop multiple times before. And nothing. Has anyone experienced anything similar? Attempted Nightstalker experience. I found this thread so I thought I would share my experience. This happened when the Nightstalker show was really big on Netflix, so it was fresh in our mind because we were watching it. Earlier in the day, I was in my room with my dogs and roommate when we thought we heard the door open. We didn't think much of it until my roommate left the room a few minutes later and started screaming, and I heard the dog that followed her going nuts. The front door was wide open and somebody saw her and fled. They had been in our house and presumably heard us in the room chatting while doing who knows what. The dog ran the person off. We were really startled, but we figured that it was over and started locking the door, and that was that. Later that night, as we were watching the last episode of the Night Stalker show, we heard the doorknob jiggle. It's like 2 a.m., so we paused and looked at the door, kinda shook and confused. When it registered what was happening, my roommate started to yell for them to go away and that the police were coming. My dumb self isn't too fond of calling the police, so I hesitated, but then they started banging something against the door to try and break it down. I grabbed my roommate, the dogs, and my partner, and we all rushed into another room to put more doors between us while police were on the way. I also had to stop my partner from trying to go out with a sword because we didn't know what this person might have or be trying to do. Luckily, he couldn't break the door down before police arrived and he fled. They caught him and he fought, so he's in jail for a lot longer than he would have been. He admitted to police he heard women when he came into the wrong house earlier, but no man, so he came back to find a friend. They never found the weapon he used on our door, and he won't say what it was, but it messed the metal up pretty badly.